Sometimes the biggest aha moments, the most fascinating discoveries, aren't about finding something totally new. They're about taking a second, closer look at something we thought we already understood. Today, we're diving into 4 different mysteries that were all solved by doing just that, uncovering the incredible things hiding in plain sight.
So what do ancient glass, artificial intelligence, and cosmic monsters have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup for a really weird joke, doesn't it? But seriously, the thread that connects all these puzzles tells us something really important about how we learn and how easy it is to get things wrong. Let's start our journey at the very edge of the universe.
Okay, first up, we're heading way out there, like 12 billion light-years away, to a puzzle that the James Webb Space Telescope stumbled upon. It spotted something that, well, just didn't belong.
So check this out. Astronomers were looking at these images from the Webb telescope and saw these tiny, deeply red dots of light. Now, in astronomy, red usually means the light is super old and has traveled a long, long way to get to us. But here was the problem. When they tried to figure out what these dots were, nothing fit. Were they super dense galaxies full of dust? Maybe. Or black holes covered in dust? Also maybe. But neither theory really matched the data. The numbers just didn't add up.
And this is where it gets really good. A team decided to zoom in on one of these dots, a really extreme one they nicknamed the cliff. And when they analyzed its light spectrum, which is basically like a chemical fingerprint of light, they saw a pattern that just blew both of their theories out of the water. It forced them to go completely back to the drawing board.
And what they came up with is pretty brilliant. They proposed a brand new kind of object, a black hole star. Now, it's not a star like our sun. Instead, imagine a supermassive black hole wrapped in this huge, thick, turbulent blanket of hydrogen gas. And that gas, not dust, was what gave it that unique red color and that totally weird light signature. A completely new creature in our cosmic zoo, all found just by looking a little bit closer.
Okay, so let's zoom back in from the edge of the universe, all the way back home to Earth. For our second story, we're looking at a pretty high-tech plan to save some of the foods we absolutely love from the effects of climate change.
The idea sounded pretty solid, right? This strategy, stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI for short, is basically about releasing reflective particles into the atmosphere to cool the planet down. Kind of like making your own man-made volcano to create a bit of shade. The assumption was simple. Hey, if we just lower the global temperature, then sensitive crops like coffee, cacao for our chocolate, and wine grapes will be protected. Simple enough.
But when researchers looked closer at 18 of the most important growing regions in the world, the solution wasn't simple at all. The data here tells the whole story. The strategy only worked consistently in about a third of them. For the other 12 regions, there was either no improvement or the results were just all over the place. So what went wrong?
Well, this quote from one of the study's co-authors really hits the nail on the head. Turns out, temperature is only one piece of the puzzle. The study found that this big plan couldn't reliably control other critical things like rainfall and humidity. You can cool the air all you want, but if you still have unpredictable floods or the humidity is all wrong, crops like cacao are still going to get hit with pests and disease. A seemingly simple solution just fell apart under closer inspection.
Now, for our third mystery, let's dive into the world of artificial intelligence. And the puzzle here is a bit of a paradox. Why are the very people hired to make AI seem trustworthy often the ones who trust it the least?
I mean, think about it. For most of us, AI is presented as this polished, almost magical product. We hear about chatbots that are polite and helpful, image generators that create breathtaking art. The assumption is that this technology is advanced, it's reliable, and it's getting smarter every single day. But when you look closer at the human side of this work, a totally different picture emerges. This quote from an AI worker named Krista Polowski is just incredibly revealing. She was training an AI to spot racist language, and she almost approved a tweet with the term moon cricket, not having any idea it was a slur. That moment, when she realized how easily she could make that mistake, and that thousands of others could be making similar mistakes on a massive scale, it just completely changed her view of the technology.
And her experience is not unique. The AI raters and trainers, they see the messy reality behind the curtain. They're dealing with rush deadlines that put speed way ahead of quality. They're working with flawed data, that old computer science rule, garbage in, garbage out. They're often given really vague instructions for incredibly complex ethical tasks. So what they see isn't futuristic magic. It's a fragile system built by humans under immense pressure.
All right, for our final story, let's jump in a time machine and go back about 1,500 years to the Roman Empire. Here, a secret was hiding in plain sight on some of the most luxurious artifacts of the entire ancient world.
For centuries, art historians and archaeologists have been admiring these incredible Roman cage cups. I mean, they're stunning, incredibly intricate, carved from a single block of glass. And for over 250 years, everyone just assumed that the little abstract shapes carved on them, diamonds, leaves, little crosses, were just pretty decorations, just some artistic flair.
But then, an art historian named Hallie Meredith, who also happens to be a trained glassblower, did something ridiculously simple. She said, "Because I am trained as a maker, I kept wanting to flip things over." So she examined the front, and then she just turned the cup around. And on the back, where nobody had really bothered to look before, she saw a pattern.
And the revelation was fantastic. These weren't just decorations. They were maker's marks, the ancient equivalent of a brand logo. They identified the workshops and the teams of artisans who spent months, maybe even years, creating these masterpieces. A simple act of looking closer gave a voice back to forgotten craft workers from 1,500 years ago.
So, a cosmic monster, a climate fix that wasn't, a fragile AI, and an ancient signature. 4 totally different stories from 4 totally different worlds. Let's pull it all together and see the common thread that connects them all.
You can see it all laid out right here. In every single case, a common assumption was just plain wrong. We assumed cosmic red dots were dusty galaxies, but they turned out to be new black hole stars. We assumed cooling the planet was enough, but overlooked rainfall and humidity. We see AI as futuristic magic, but it's actually a fragile, human-built system. And we assumed ancient symbols were just decoration, but they were the hidden signatures of artisans. The truth wasn't found by some single leap of genius, but by the simple, powerful act of looking closer.
And that really leaves us with a final thought. We've seen how this works on a cosmic scale and on a microscopic one. So the question is, what assumptions are we all making every day? In our work, in our lives, what hidden story is waiting right there, just under the surface, for you to find it?